Welcome to the spring 2024 Department of Epidemiology and Public Health graduation ceremony at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. I'm Jay Magaziner. I'm chair of the Department of Epidemiology and Public Health and very pleased to be here welcoming you today. I'm going to serve as your host and try to keep the program moving so you won't be here all day, but we have a tremendous program and we have a lot of really wonderful accomplishments to acknowledge today. Before we move forward with the ceremony, I want to let you know that this program is being recorded, and we're very pleased that you're here as family, friends of our graduates to welcome them into this new world, having completed their training for the degrees that they were working on. Now I'd like to invite our faculty and graduates to join us, and will everyone please rise while we have our faculty and graduates joining us. First, we will have the candidates and the graduates entering. Next, I'd like to ask and welcome the University School of Medicine and department and program leadership to enter. Thank you. Thank you. You can all be seated now. I'd like to say good morning to our faculty, to our graduates. This is a special day. This is your special day. Before we move forward with the program, I want to just let you know that it's really a tremendous privilege and an honor to be here and be able to welcome you into the academic world that you've worked so hard to accomplish for yourselves. We have today students and graduates from multiple programs that the Department of Epidemiology and Public Health faculty support, along with the faculty in many other schools, the other schools on the University of Maryland, Baltimore campus. We have 39 graduates. Many of them are here today and will be recognized in turn. Before we move forward with the program and with all the special recognitions, I want to just introduce a few of the honored guests that are here with us today. And please hold your applause until after we get through, after I name a few. First, Dr. Roger Ward, who's the provost of the University of Maryland. Dr. Ward. Next, Dr. Mark Gladwin, Dean of the School of Medicine. Next, we have Dr. James Caper, Vice Dean for Academic Affairs in the School of Medicine. We also have with us today the current president of the Beta Tau chapter of the Delta Omega Honor Society in Public Health and an EPH graduate, Ms. Rena Rembard. The department's vice chair for academic programs, director of the Master Public Health Program and the Preventive Medicine Division head, Dr. Diane Marie St. George. Thank you all for joining us and for it's wonderful having you all here today. I have a few more people to recognize. As I just noted, Dr. St. George is the Master of Public Health Program Director, and we also have several other academic program leaders with us today. Dr. Ann Gruber-Baldini, she is the Director of the doctoral programs in gerontology and epidemiology and human genetics, and the Master of Science program in epidemiology and clinical research. Dr. Jennifer Albrecht, who leads the Master of Science and certificate programs in clinical research. Dr. Wendy Lane, who is the Director of the Preventive Medicine Residency Program. I saw Wendy. Oh, she's sitting in the wrong seat. Okay. And Dr. Tony Pollan, who leads the Master of Science program in Human Genetics and Genomic Medicine. Tony. Several others, there are several division heads who have also been here working with our faculty and our students. With us today is Dr. Man Sherratt, who heads our Global Health Sciences program, and I saw Man is over here, and Dr. Joanne Dorgan, who heads our Cancer Epidemiology program. I saw Joanne is over here, okay. And the other division heads, unfortunately, are not able to be here today. Dr. Istvan Merkenthaler, who leads our translational toxicology program, Soren Benson, who heads our biostatistics and bioinformatics program, and Dr. Anthony Harris, who was called away suddenly and will not be here today. In addition, I'd like to thank and recognize our distinguished faculty who are sitting throughout the audience here and are really, it is because of them and because of their efforts and hard work working with our graduates that they have been so successful in what they've accomplished. I genuinely believe these students who are now graduates are ready to make a positive impact in the fields of gerontology, epidemiology, clinical research, and public health. And I want to thank you for your continued dedication to your work, the department, and the School of Medicine. Thank you to all of you. I'd like to also acknowledge those individuals assisting with today's ceremony, which is really a wonderful ceremony with a wonderful audience here. And I want to thank the group. They include Justine Golden, Tina Kramer-American. They're scattered around monitoring and welcoming those who are coming in. Cara Longo, Andrea Manning, Lauren Schmand, John Shinnick, and Erin Walton. And I really do appreciate this wonderful. If it weren't for the really outstanding support that we as faculty and leaders in the department and school get from our outstanding staff, we would not be here today. We really could not do it without this wonderful group. So thank you again. And now I'd like to recognize the family members and friends of our graduates. You've supported them in countless ways as they progress through our programs. And I want to thank you for your work and your efforts behind the scenes or in front of the scenes, wherever you've been, to help our graduates be where they are today. Thank you. And finally, I'd like to recognize special applause. Yes, indeed. And finally, we wouldn't be here if it were not for our graduates. So if our graduates could just stand up and be recognized. It's really, okay, sit down. It's really your efforts and work in the classroom, outside the classroom, the tremendous work that you've done in community service and activity for various programs, have different constellations of activity, but you've all made a tremendous impact, not just in what you've learned during your time as students, but also the kinds of contributions you've made to the wider academic and wider community outside the university. And I know that it's just been a tremendous effort and joy to see how all of you have done so very well in what you've accomplished. Thank you. We have 39 graduates to celebrate today. It's a large group. We're still a very small program, but we're a busy one with multiple programs coming together and many working together in the same classes and interacting together, which is very special for the students who come out of this program. We have a big agenda today, as you can see in the little booklets you have. And I want to, so I'm going to keep my remarks very short. First, I'll do that by telling you to our graduates to go out in the world and with your now new stature as graduates to do essentially three things. Okay, I hope you can remember three things. The first is use your imagination. Identify the paths that you view as the ones where you can make a difference. And use your imagination and create new ways of going down those paths. You have the skills, you have the personal fortitude, you have the resilience that you need. So use your imagination and act on the things that you think are most important. Some of these paths will have been traveled before. Many of them will be new. And I encourage you to do new things in whatever paths you take and do them well. Second, I want you to use what you've learned and steer us into the future of good health and well-being. That's what you've learned how to do, whether it's in your statistics courses, whether it's in your epidemiology courses, whether it's in your policy courses, whether it's in your health services course, whatever you've learned and taken here, use that information to move yourselves through those paths as your careers progress. And finally, proceed with humility and with dignity in your efforts. Those are the things that we're going to remember and that are really going to be what drives you into the future. So with that, I want to congratulate you again. We're all looking forward to seeing where you go. Now, I would like to ask Dr. James Caper to share a few words with our graduates. Dr. Caper is the James and Carolyn Frankel Distinguished Dean's Professor, the Vice Dean for Academic Affairs, and Chair of the Department of Microbiology and Immunology in the University of Maryland School of Medicine. We know that Dr. Caper has a very special ties to the field of epidemiology, and I want to thank him for joining us today and saying a few words.
Thank you very much, Jay. I'll extend my heartiest congratulations to the graduates today. And I also want to extend the congratulations to the families of the graduates, the parents, spouses, friends, and siblings, and everyone else who has supported the graduates on today's journey. Having been through many graduation ceremonies of our own children, I can certainly understand the pride that you must feel today. I'm very pleased to be here at the Department of Epidemiology and Public Health graduation ceremony because, as Dr. Magaziner alluded to, I have both personal and professional connections to the field of epidemiology and public health. In my own research, I developed some of the first techniques for the field of molecular epidemiology and developed vaccines for the prevention of cholera, a huge global public health problem. As a young faculty member here at the School of Medicine, one of my first postdoctoral fellows in my lab was Dr. Glenn Morse, who eventually became the chair of this Department of Epidemiology and Public Health, prior to Dr. Magaziner. On a personal basis, I first met my wife many years ago when she was an epidemiologist working for the Centers for Disease Control as an EIS officer. And on a further additional personal note, our daughter is an epidemiologist who received her first exposure to the field in this department. She worked as a summer student with Drs. Morgan, Harris, Tom, and others. She went on to receive her PhD in epidemiology at UNC, and she's now on the faculty at Emory School of Public Health. Our family will always be grateful for the early mentoring that she received here. And so you see, I'm personally quite familiar with the field of epidemiology and public health. But the general public is not familiar with epidemiology and public health until something goes wrong. And they don't think about it until something goes wrong. I don't need to belabor the point about the COVID-19 pandemic that forced the population to confront the issue of public health. But the public is still not aware of the continuous effort needed to make things work right to ensure the public health, the health of the public. Not just for infectious diseases, but for cancer, addiction, obesity, aging, and a wide variety of non-infectious diseases. Population-based research into the causes, consequences, and ultimately prevention of disease is enormously important. And I greatly admire the dedication of our graduates today and the faculty in this department. You have admire your dedication to the field and your commitment to improving the health of the city, the state, the country, and the world. Congratulations, graduates. I'm sure you'll make the University of Maryland proud.
Next, I'd like to introduce Dr. Mark Gladwin. Dr. Gladwin is the Dean of the School of Medicine. He is a vascular heart and lung physician scientist who was appointed as the 31st Dean of the University of Maryland School of Medicine in August of 2022. He also serves as Vice President for Medical Affairs at the University of Maryland, Baltimore, and holds the John Z. and Akiko K. Bowers Distinguished Professor Endowed Chair. Dr. Gladwin is dedicated to promoting and enhancing diversity, equity, and inclusion while leading advances and innovation in the areas of education, research, and clinical care. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Gladwin.
Despite having worked for 2 years with Dr. Caper, we share many things together, but my wife is also an epidemiologist. And we met in Seattle while she was doing her PhD at UW, and I was doing my advanced training in pulmonary medicine. But then we came to the NIH, and I was working as a postdoc in molecular biology, and she was getting her postdoc at the National Cancer Institute working on cervical cancer. So, and I'm sorry for the rest of your career, when you tell people at parties that you're a doctor of epidemiology, people will think you're a dermatologist or but I think now after the COVID pandemic, everybody's quite aware of the vitality of what you do. But, you know, today you're going to be crossing this symbolic and real threshold as you become leaders in these vital fields of public health, epidemiology and genetics, and clinical research. And I think the families here can be so proud of this group of students. You know, just some statistics. They've had over 60 peer-reviewed articles published, 400 hours of service learning in the local Baltimore communities, 3,000 hours of field work experience in Maryland Health Department's local Baltimore schools, the UMB campus, and non-governmental community-based organizations, and clearly our leaders of the future. So a big round of applause for the class of 24. And I'll just take a few minutes to, first of all, the families don't know why I'm wearing a University of Miami outfit as the Dean of the Maryland School of Medicine, but the tradition is we wear the regalia from our terminal degree, and I did my medical school training at the University of Miami. But I actually feel that I look a lot more like a Harry Potter character, maybe Dumbledore. And so I thought I would just speak briefly to you all and look into my Dumbledore crystal ball, wizard ball of your future. And what's the future of medicine, public health, and epidemiology look like? And so the first thing is we're facing a massive demographic shift in the world's population. So in 2018, just 6 years ago, something amazing happened in world history. For the first time in the history of the world, more people were over the age of 64 in the world than under the age of 5. If you just think of America, there were 58 million Americans over 65 in 2022. It will be 82 million by 2050, a 47% increase. And 1 in 4 Americans will be over the age of 65. So how will this affect you in your fields? Well, first of all, we have to have a fundamental understanding of geriatrics and the complexity of multi-system care and disease. And we're going to need to understand that through research and epidemiology. We're going to have to change the entire model of care that we deliver to an age-friendly health system. So imagine a greater reliance on home hospitals, on age-friendly telemedicine, on nursing and advanced practice provider-supported home visits, and multidisciplinary panel-based practice of cares, where we're really going to need the data science to understand how to prevent disease, to intervene at the right time and the right place. We're going to have to simplify polypharmacy, diagnose and treat frailty, and enhance mental and physical resilience. So we also need to better understand in the future what not to do, what procedures at the right stage in a person's health odyssey should not be performed because they'll create harm rather than benefit. And so while my generation focused on lifespan, your generation will focus on health span. So ultimately, you want to optimize a long life free of disease, ending with a good death with home support, free of pain, free of disability, and free of indignity. The second thing in my crystal ball, which you could probably guess, is the revolution in big data and machine learning and artificial intelligence. This has been related to the advances in natural language processing and large language computation that can generate communications and discovery based on the integration of vast data sets. So the sum of all medical knowledge and the electronic healthcare record is now available to these systems to advance healthcare and potentially help you better perform as epidemiologists in your future. So this is going to help you deal with the enormous amount of biomedical information that we are generating as a civilization. In 1980, medical knowledge doubled every 7 years. 30 years later, in 2010, this doubling was only every 75 days. Today, what we learned 3 years ago is now only 5% of all medical knowledge available today. So you're going to need AI-based systems to access and collate the riches available to you to assess risk and improve population health. And we're very proud that we've launched this Institute for Health Computing here at the University of Maryland with robust planned partnerships with the School of Epidemiology. And this institute is going to look at population health, real-world data, developing pragmatic embedded clinical trials. So wherever you live across the state of Maryland, you'll have access to life-saving information, preventive health, and clinical trials. So the final thing in the crystal ball will be even more obvious to you because you're children of the COVID pandemic. We all are somewhat scarred by that experience, I imagine. But the big thing that we're facing overall is an overpopulated, highly connected, warming planet. So these factors are driving what we call zoonotic infections, which is a jump of an infection from typically a animal to human. But we're also seeing the emergence of antibiotic resistance and related to climate change political instability. So the world population is projected to grow to 8.5 billion by 2030, 9.7 billion by 2050, and 10.4 billion by 2100. It's scary to think that penicillin was first used in the United States in 1942 to treat a patient with life-threatening streptococcal bacteremia. Today, only 82 years later, penicillin only works for a handful of organisms, and many organisms are now resistant to all antibiotics. So we are entering this post-antibiotic era. And remember that in your lifespans, you all have lived through the H1N1 influenza pandemic in 2009, the West Africa Ebola epidemic in 2014, SARS-CoV-1 in 2002, which hit Toronto, had much higher lethality than SARS-CoV-2, but luckily stopped there. And then, of course, SARS-CoV-2, which caused the COVID-19 pandemic in 2019. Many of us in this room will also remember the West Nile outbreak in 1999 and the anthrax biological attack in 9/11. So as we look into our crystal ball, we'll see more and more of these events. It's unavoidable. And your experiences with the COVID-19 pandemic will steel you for this next chapter. So I'll finish by putting aside my crystal ball, which clearly points out that there's enormous generational challenges ahead of you, and we're going to need your leadership and your knowledge of science to confront and adapt to these changes. What will never change in the practice of science and medicine is the importance of your humanism and your altruism. Every time I work personally in the intensive care unit, I work with our students from the University of Maryland. I'm impressed that your generation is the most in touch with their core values and humanism than any generation that I've worked for. You certainly are more fluent with high-speed synthesis of data and the use of technology. You have the greatest command of science, medicine, and human bonds that make a complete and well-rounded scientist. Your desire to accept yourself and recognize your own vulnerabilities seems to me an essential evolutionary breakthrough into the successful practice of medicine and science. So, with those heavy burdens on your shoulders, Godspeed in your journey, class of 2024. I didn't say it was you what? I didn't say it was
Next, we have Provost Ward with us today, who will share a brief greeting and then confer the graduates' degrees. Dr. Roger Ward was named Provost and Executive Vice President of the University of Maryland in Baltimore in October 2021. After serving in interim roles since January 2020, when he also served as Dean of the Graduate School until 2023. Dr. Ward has supported our department's educational programs and has been a key in helping epidemiology and public health build new bridges of collaborations with the graduate school. Now it's my honor to welcome you, Provost Ward.
Thank you, Jay. Good morning. So, both Dean Gladwin and Dr. Caper mentioned that their wives are epidemiologists. So it should come as no surprise. Guess what my wife is? She's an accountant. She's an accountant. She's not an epidemiologist. And Mark came with his crystal ball to look into the future. I come with a yellow folder. And in this folder, there are magical words that allows those outstanding gifted students and soon to be graduates to be alums and providers of the future. Some of them have already been beneficiaries of these magic words by having attended ceremonies earlier this week, and so we recognize them as well. And for those who have not yet been beneficiaries, you will be the beneficiaries of some of these magical words. However, before I do that, let me take the opportunity to reinforce some of what has already been said, especially by way of thank yous. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank and recognize first and foremost the many faculty members, loved ones, partners in here, friends, I don't see any pets, who have supported our students, and we do claim them as ours now, them having spent so much time with us. We know that they belong to you, but thank you for sharing them with us. For supporting our students, your students, for all these years through, I'm sure, a myriad of challenges, the least of which, as Dean Gladwin mentioned, was COVID. And as Dr. Magazina says, clearly a very resilient group of students, again, soon to be graduates. And so we are grateful to you as faculty members for sharing them with us, and now we're grateful to return them to you as distinguished graduates of this university. I also want to recognize, of course, as Dr. Magazina did as well, our outstanding faculty who support these students and have given so much to these students and have shared their expertise and knowledge with these students, have challenged these students to become the individuals and the learners they are today. Ceremonies like this represent a handing off of knowledge, experience from one generation to the next. That's how our society gets better. That's how our world gets better. And obviously the faculty is a very, very important link in that transmission of knowledge from one generation to the next. So I certainly want graduates, you, to stand and recognize your faculty. And while you're still standing, I know you could do better than that. I want you to recognize your family, friends, and all of those who have supported you to get to this point. All right, thank you. Please be seated. Okay. At this point in the ceremony, it is my distinct privilege to confer degrees on the graduating students. Under the authority granted by the state of Maryland to the Board of Regents of the University System of Maryland, and by that board and the Chancellor delegated to me in my role as Provost of the University of Maryland, Baltimore, I shall proceed to confer degrees with all the rights and privileges thereto appertaining. Will the candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy please rise? As I mentioned before, earlier this week, this group of graduates, in fact, just last night, had degrees conferred. Therefore, it is my distinct privilege to formally present these graduates and ask that you join me in congratulating each of them on completing their program requirements and earning their degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Graduates, please be seated. Will the candidates for the degree Master of Science and Post-Baccalaureate Certificate please rise? These students were also the beneficiaries of the magic words earlier this week. And so it is my distinct privilege now to formally present these graduates and ask that you join me in congratulating each of them in completing their program requirements, earning the degree Master of Science and Post-Baccalaureate Certificate. Congratulations. Graduates, please be seated. Will the candidates for the degree Master of Public Health please rise? These candidates will be presented by Dean Gladwin.
Mr. Provost, in accordance with the recommendations of the faculty of the School of Medicine, I request that you confer upon these candidates the degree of Masters of Public Health in recognition of their successful completion of all requirements.
Thank you. Dean Gladwin, I am pleased to accept these candidates and confer upon each of you the degree Master of Public Health. Congratulations. Graduates, please be seated. Congratulations to all of our graduates. Let us all again recognize all our graduates this morning with another robust, very robust round of applause. Thank you all.
Well, the Department of Epidemiology and Public Health has several annual awards. And each year during this ceremony, we announce the award recipients. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce each award presenter. And our first presenter will be Dr. Jessica Brown, Associate Professor of Epidemiology and Public Health, who will be presenting the Langenberg Endowment in Epidemiology and Women's Health Award. Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Dr. Magaziner. I am energized to be part of this morning's celebration of accomplishments. It is my distinct honor to present the Dr. Patricia Langenberg Endowment in Women's Health and Epidemiology Award. Before the awardees are recognized, I want to extend my gratitude to my colleagues who serve on the award selection committee. We are like-minded in how rewarding we find serving on this committee to honor Dr. Langenberg's generosity, fostering the education and career development of doctoral trainees. This endowed award was established shortly after Pat retired in 2015, after 25 years of dedicated service to the Department of Epidemiology and Public Health. The endowment provides merit-based awards to doctoral students to support dissertation or other research, travel to professional conferences, experiential learning opportunities, or other educational needs. Today, we recognize our 14th and 15th awardees. Our growing number of scholars is possible due to the sustained generosity from Dr. Langenberg. Dr. Langenberg and her family have long served as champions of higher education, either directly as educators, mentors, and leaders, or indirectly through considerable philanthropy. Not only do several awards across the university system of Maryland bear the Langenberg name, many of us here today have been taught by or were mentees of Pat. This departmental award is unique as it is awarded twice annually, once in the fall semester and once in the spring semester. Today, we are recognizing and celebrating both awardees from fall 2023 and spring 2024. Our fall 2023 awardee is Jennifer Kirk. Jennifer, please join me up here on stage. Jennifer received funds to recruit additional participants for one of her dissertation aims, exploring differences in provider knowledge, preference, and implicit racial bias in osteoporosis management. She undertook primary data collection with nationally representative sample of geriatricians, advanced practitioners, orthopedic surgeons, and general internal medicine providers. Jennifer developed and piloted this cross-sectional survey during a summer fellowship prior to using it in her dissertation research. Our spring 2024 awardee is Divya Hosengadi. Divya, please join me up here on stage. Divya received funds to attend the Summer Institute in Statistics and Modeling in Infectious Diseases. There, she will get hands-on experience with developing infectious disease transmission models, cost-effectiveness modeling, plus models to assess vaccine efficacy and impact. Please join me in congratulating Jennifer and Divya.
The next presenter is Dr. Diane Marie St. George. And she will be presenting the Renee Royak Shaler Memorial Endowment Award. Dr. St. George.
Good morning. So let me begin by thanking the members of the Renee Royak Shaler Award Committee, Drs. Gruber Baldini and Lane, who served alongside me in this year's review process. And now it's my great honor to present the Renee Royak Shaler Memorial Endowment Award. Dr. Royak Shaler joined the faculty of our department in 2002 and was instrumental in the development of our Master of Public Health program, eventually serving as the inaugural director of the accredited MPH. Dr. Royak Shaler was an active researcher and taught and mentored students in the PhD, MS, and MPH programs within our department. In 2011, her family established this award to honor her memory and legacy. This fund provides annual merit-based awards to students in the PhD, MS, and Master of Public Health programs. This prestigious award recognizes excellence in student academic work, research, and/or service in areas that were deeply important to Dr. Royak Shaler, such as health disparities, health behavior, women's health, cancer prevention, and community engagement. This year, we have two recipients of this award, Ms. Catherine McDonald and Dr. Parham Habibzadeh. If you're both here, I hope, would you join me in the lectern as I introduce you? Oh. Thank you, Catherine. I was beginning to rearrange my papers here. All right, so I'm going in alphabetical order. So Parham Habibzadeh graduated from the Shiraz University of Medical Sciences School of Medicine in Iran in 2020, ranked first in his class of 300 students. After working as a researcher for just over a year, he joined the Division of Clinical Care and Research in our School of Medicine Institute of Human Virology as a postdoctoral research fellow in 2022. And then in 2023, he was admitted to our Master of Science in Clinical Research program. In the short time that he has been here with us, he has already earned the School of Medicine Postdoctoral Fellow Excellence in Service Award, which he can add to the 18 awards he earned as a graduate student in Iran. He is committed to addressing health disparities and serves as the DEI blogger for the American Society of Microbiology, as a postdoc student member of the University of Maryland's Diversity Advisory Council, as a mentor for the University of Maryland Baltimore Cure Scholars Program. And he's also served as a planner and facilitator of the UMB's 8th Annual Postdoc Retreat Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion section. Like Dr. Royak Shaler, Parham is interested in addressing health disparities in cancer incidence and access to treatment. Thus far, he has over 60 publications and is poised for a tremendous career in the field. Congratulations on this award. So I'll be coming to give it to you in a moment. Okay. Our second awardee is Ms. Catherine McDonald. Catherine is a 2018 graduate from the University of Charleston in South Carolina with a bachelor's in psychology. She is currently a part-time student in the EPH program, pursuing a concentration in community and population health. She is also employed by the Department of Psychiatry, where she founded a research diversity subcommittee. Catherine has long been interested in research, having worked on various research teams dating back to 2016 when she was still in South Carolina. Catherine is also deeply committed to service. In South Carolina, she tutored students with disabilities, and since 2017, she has volunteered in various nonprofits engaged in urban farming and environmental justice work. As her recommender for this award wrote, she is wholeheartedly committed to tackling health inequities in her future career. She possesses a deep understanding of the complexities and intricacies of social determinants of health, viewing them through a distinct lens that emphasizes environmental justice and human rights advocacy. I bet you didn't know she said all of that. Catherine plans to continue her education after completing her Master of Public Health with us. Having traveled throughout Asia, the Americas, and Europe, and taught herself French and Korean, it may come as no surprise that she wants to pursue further training in global health. We know that her passion and dedication to the work will serve her in good stead for years to come. Congratulations.
Well, I'm going to be presenting the next award, and it is to someone who unfortunately was called away unexpectedly today, Anthony Harris. This award is one that the department gives to outstanding faculty members for their service and involvement in the education of our medical students. This year's winner is Dr. Anthony Harris. Dr. Harris is usually the one presenting this award, as he works tirelessly behind the scenes as a leader and a mentor for our medical education programs. We don't always have the opportunity to recognize the tremendous amount of work that goes into ensuring that the medical students receive a high-quality education and are imparted with the important fundamentals of epidemiology and biostatistics that will make them better physicians someday. Anthony has been working nonstop to integrate and implement the school's new Renaissance curriculum that will continue to ensure that these goals are met in the medical school. As Dean Gladwin pointed out, things are changing so rapidly and there's so much going on at such a broad sphere of population science. And this is what we believe it's important for our medical students to be aware of and be somewhat facile in working with, in bringing care to the patients that they wind up seeing and treating. Congratulations to Anthony for your tremendous efforts, and we'll still congratulate you with applause. Our next presenter is Divya Hosungadi, a student in the PhD program in epidemiology and human genetics. She'll be presenting the epidemiology, human genetics, and gerontology faculty teaching award.
Hi, everyone. I'm a second-year PhD student in epidemiology, and it is my privilege to present the Epidemiology, Human Genetics, and Gerontology Faculty Teaching Award to Dr. Catherine Berry. Dr. Berry is one of the lead instructors of Practicum, which is a course that first-year epidemiology and molecular epi students take. And as students in the audience can attest, the class can be very intensive with rapid deadlines and frequent presentations and analytical assignments. But it is also one of the most important and foundational classes that students take in the program to learn epidemiologic and data analysis methods. And amidst all the challenges of this class, students are blessed to have Dr. Berry as their professor. Dr. Berry is one of the kindest and most supportive professors that I have had thus far, and she is a very dedicated teacher who always gives students valuable feedback and mentorship that go on to shape the rest of their careers. So I'm sure that I'm not the only student in the audience today who is excited to see Dr. Berry accept this well-deserved reward. So please let's give Dr. Berry a round of applause.
The next presenter is Jonathan Lawton, a student in the PhD program in epidemiology and human genetics. He will be presenting the Epidemiology, Human Genetics, and Gerontology Faculty Mentoring Award.
Hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to announce this year's recipient of the Department of Epidemiology, Human Genetics, and Gerontology Faculty Mentoring Award. This recipient is described as a caring and attentive mentor, a natural teacher, and a devoted scientist. He advises a diverse cadre, including postdoctoral fellows, PhD students, medical students, undergraduates, and high schoolers, each of whom he meets with at least once weekly. This mentor works collaboratively with his trainees and values their input and expertise, trusting them to steer the direction of their own projects while inspiring them to let curiosity lead the way. He has a proven track record of mentorship, including advising all 3 of his doctoral students to successful NIH F30 or F31 grant submissions. Most importantly, this mentor is known for his kind-hearted nature, conscientiousness, and obvious commitment to his trainees' professional development. He also happens to be a great mentor and friend to me, so I'm very happy to hand this award to Dr. Mark Travassos.
Our last awards will be presented by Shepe Gete and Vathuni Logandrin. And they are members of the Public Health Student Association Leadership Board. They'll be presenting the MPH Student Peer Recognition Award and the MPH Faculty Teaching and Mentoring Award. Here they are.
Thank you, Dr. Magaziner, for that introduction. On behalf of the MPH students, it is truly our pleasure to present the last two awards. The first award that we will present is the MPH Student Peer Recognition Award. This award enables the MPH students to recognize a peer who exhibits exemplary teamwork, camaraderie, support and respect for others, and a passion for the field of public health. Our fellow MPH students were invited to nominate a currently enrolled MPH classmate for this honor. This year, several MPH students were nominated, but one MPH student emerged as the frontrunner for this recognition. Our fellow MPH students describe this peer as an individual with a clear passion for the field of public health and is actively involved in community service within the Baltimore area. Additionally, our peers noted that this MPH student is extremely thoughtful and respectful of her fellow MPH classmates. Now, please join us in congratulating the 2024 Master of Public Health Student Peer Recognition Award recipient, Anika Hamilton. Anika, join us on stage. Okay.
Next, we will present the 2024 Master of Public Health Teaching and Mentoring Award. This award recognizes excellence in teaching and mentoring by a faculty member in the School of Medicine's Master of Public Health program. For this award, the teaching component is based on the faculty member's passion for stimulating learning and generating intellectual curiosity both inside and outside the classroom setting, while the mentoring aspect is based on the faculty member's remarkable enthusiasm and success in guiding the professional growth of the MPH students. Each academic year, the MPH students can nominate one faculty member for outstanding teaching and mentorship. This year, several faculty members were nominated, but one individual emerged as the clear winner. The MPH students described this awardee as a mentor and role model with high standards and outstanding moral character. It was also noted that this awardee creates a classroom setting that develops the students' passion for public health while also stimulating learning. In addition to those incredible qualities, the MPH students also recognize that this awardee has many responsibilities, both inside and outside the classroom, and yet this individual does not lose sight of the students and their individual success in the program. Please join us in congratulating the 2024 Master of Public Health Teaching and Mentoring Award recipient, Dr. Diane Marie St. George. Please join us on the stage.
Have to smile.
Well, thank you to all the presenters and to all of the recipients. Next, we're going to be recognizing the new inductees into the Delta Omega Honorary Society in Public Health. The University of Maryland School of Medicine has an active Delta Omega chapter. The Beta Tau chapter president and MPH alumna, Ms. Rena Rembart, and the immediate past president, Dr. Jessica Brown, will announce the 2024 Beta Tau chapter inductees.
Thank you, Dr. Magaziner. Today marks the 15th annual induction ceremony for the Beta Tau chapter of the Delta Omega Honorary Society in Public Health. And we are here today to honor our inductees' achievements in public health. The Delta Omega Honorary Society in Public Health was founded in 1924 at Johns Hopkins University within the School of Hygiene and Public Health, now as the Bloomberg School of Public Health, by 2 graduate students. That means that this cohort of inductees is being inducted in the centennial year of the society. At the time of the society's founding, public health as a profession was still in its infancy. And prior to the establishment of university-based education in public health, entrance into the field had been largely through practical experience and political favor. To promote the graduate study of the field, the society was organized to recognize outstanding achievement in the new field. 100 years later, Delta Omega has expanded to more than 100 chapters throughout the world and has more than 20,000 members. The society still honors the ideals that initially formed its foundation, even as the meaning and scope of public health has broadened tremendously. Membership in Delta Omega reflects the dedication of an individual that is working to increase the quality of the field of public health, as well as working to protect and advance the health of all people. We are now very excited to be inducted our next cohort of members in the following categories: faculty, student, alumni, and honorary. You are joining an impressive group of scholars and practitioners. Inductees, as I announce your name, please come forward. In the faculty category, the 2024 inductees are Nadine Finnegan Carr, Luis Pinet Peralta, in the student category, the 2024 inductees are Anthony Chinloy, Caitlin Mason, Madeline Nozick, Anna Scherf. In the alumni category, the 2024 inductees are Chinane Donna Egbulam, who will not be able to join us today, and Michelle Peralta. In the honorary category, the 2024 inductee is Magda Shaler Haynes, and she's not able to join us today. It is an honor for us to have you join the society. Your qualifications have been reviewed and acted on favorably by the leadership of this chapter. We hope membership in the society is an honor for you as well. Membership in Delta Omega has special meaning in that you are dedicating yourself to continued excellence in the field of public health. As such, you ascribe to high standards of performance in all that you do. We will now ask you to take the oath to join Delta Omega. Please state "I will" after every statement. I aspire to demonstrate excellence in practice in the field of public health. I aspire to demonstrate excellence in research in the field of public health. I aspire to demonstrate excellence in education in the field of public health. I aspire to demonstrate excellence in academic achievement in the field of public health. The Beta Tau chapter is honored to induct all these individuals into the Delta Omega Honorary Society in Public Health. Congratulations to all the new inductees.
Congratulations to all of you. Okay, it is now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for today, Dr. Laura Hungerford. Dr. Hungerford was previously a tenured professor at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. She taught epidemiology and research methods and conducted infectious disease research, collaborating with colleagues here from 2002 to 2016. Across this time, she served as the director of the veterinary public health and epidemiology concentrations in our MPH program, directed the graduate program in epidemiology and human genetics, and served as vice chair for academic programs for the department. She was involved in the creation and leadership of the MPH and co-founder of the Beta Tau chapter of Delta Omega, which we just heard the inductees to. She's trained in she's trained as a veterinarian specializing in livestock, a public health practitioner, and infectious disease epidemiologist and researcher, an emergency medical technician. She left the University of Maryland to become the head of the Department of Population Health Sciences at the Virginia Maryland College of Veterinary Medicine at Virginia Tech, where she's also currently the acting associate dean of public health. She lives with her family on 100 acres along the Little River in southern Appalachia near Floyd, Virginia. Thank you, Dr. Hungerford.
So thank you for that kind introduction. And perhaps the most relevant part is that I know what a great program this is and the wonderful things that the graduates have done across the years. So it's great to be here with the next group of wonderful graduates, as well as the faculty, staff, families, and others. I'm really honored and happy to be invited to share in your graduation today. I really should be standing this way. The public health, epidemiology, human genetics, gerontology, and clinical research programs here have a large place in my heart. With the faculty, the previous graduates, the communities, and in fact, some of you that I've actually gotten to teach during guest lectures, talking about the horrible things that we can catch from animals or that they can catch from us and what we can do about it. So first, congratulations to the 2024 graduates. You're entering a world at a moment when your knowledge, skills, and ability to integrate and communicate science and the public good are sorely needed. All your teachers and mentors I know are so proud of you, as are the rest of us in the disciplines in which you've been trained. So as you go forth, please feel valued and supported by this community and excited about what you will do as you join us. Now, at graduation, we tend to be really excitedly focused on the places you'll go, the things that you'll do. But this is also a great time for you to focus on the now. You've been here with the people around you for 2 years or more. So today is a great chance to exchange that last bit of information, to lock in your contacts, and a last opportunity to touch base with colleagues, faculty, others in the community, as well as maybe exchange with that person you always wanted to talk to but didn't quite get a moment to do so. The benefits and lessons of this place will linger and will always belong to you. This includes the faculty and staff as well as your classmates and the community members around you. Faculty love to hear from you, and they're always excited, not bothered. I can say that for them, but I was a faculty here, so you can still contact me. So remember this resource and reach out. I still hear from students I taught when I was here, as well as at previous institutions. I work with them on projects and vicariously enjoy their achievements. I also keep in touch still with my colleagues, professionally and personally, and work with them on projects from my graduate studies. So keep this place and this resource as something that you draw on in the future. And the sense of the opportunity and lessons in the place of the moment is something to always contemplate throughout your careers. Just like here, the people in those communities or the work or learning places will bring different experiences and lessons, which we sometimes don't expect. You've heard that I started as a veterinarian, I still am one, taking care of herds of livestock and wildlife. But I knew that I needed more epidemiology, statistics, and geographical analysis expertise to have an impact on population health. So I did my MPH in epidemiology and biostats, which I loved and still love. But my view was shockingly expanded by topics like health behavior theory, program evaluation, advocacy, things I really hadn't experienced as a veterinarian. So I want you to remember sometimes the things you learn from a place or those around you that you didn't know about or intend to learn that you never want to miss. And I encourage you to have a wide definition of those around you as you go throughout your careers. Now, you might think that I mean the people who we don't always notice, like the public impact of the cleaning staff who are instrumental in protecting us from infectious diseases. But even beyond this, as humans, we don't live in a bubble, as Dean Gladwin and the provost have already noted. One Health is the part of public health that recognizes the interconnectedness of human well-being with the animals, plants, and environments around us. Sometimes this is dramatically apparent, as was already mentioned, with zoonoses such as COVID that came from bats to us, but which we as humans have currently spread to white-tailed deer, US bats, and other species. Or we can think about the health impact of not just behavior change, but walkability and the clean air around us and the way that climate change is affecting us. Or we can think of the 2/3 of Americans that have pets as important family members, although as Provost Ward mentioned, none of them are here today. This means that in public health and epidemiology, most of the humans we study or work with live in multi-species families affected by the environments around them. And for older adults, furry family members can be especially important. So this interconnectedness offers challenges and creative opportunities for human health and well-being. Along your career path, in each place where you apply what you learned here at UMB, also take the time to appreciate that place and the humans, animals, and others around you and what they bring to your experience, whether you intend to stay there or not. The present place and time shape us, but your decisions to come here to UMB, your choices in your classes, your practice experience, your research, and even your future career goals have also been shaped by the past, individual and societal. This history includes the longstanding US and global disparities and health problems that you will work to solve, and also the collection of past individual lived experiences of each of us, those around us, and those in very different geographies or circumstances. In fact, some have even defined epidemiology, genetics, and gerontology as primarily focused on studying past associations which may or may not apply to the present or future. So thinking of these things in context as you do your work is really important to see how this past to future flow matters. So recognizing the flow from the past to the present to the future is currently a major topic of discussion in public health. As you all graduate and define the future of public health, remember that you have a rich tapestry of people with shared and disparate past experiences here and in each space where you will live and work. In this time of promising new tools that you've heard about and learned, learning from past struggles and successes in public health is critically important. Individually, our past gets bigger the longer we live. So we want to thoroughly consider but not be trapped by it. And a very personal connection to the past is the guests who've come to honor you today. As a public health educator, I want to honor especially the parents, family, and friends of the graduates. Your support across their time at UMB was critically important to their success. But even more than that, all of us in public health thank you for their pasts, the way that you raised them or contributed to their growth that led to their commitment to public health and to helping others. This will always be a very special gift from you to the people, communities, and perhaps animals that they will serve in the future. So graduates, from your grounding in the past, learning in the present space, it is so exciting that you are stepping out to have an impact on health in so many different ways, in so many different places across the city, the country, and globally. Health and well-being are a part of every profession, and areas less traditionally recognized as health-related may offer great opportunities. I think this is one of the most exciting times for public health and population health. The pandemic made people aware of what we do and inspired many to join us. Everyone was an armchair epidemiologist, but that has brought suggestions from their wide variety of disciplines directly to us that we can apply in our work. It showed that infectious and chronic diseases have the same underlying social determinants and the same communication, behavior change, and other issues. It emphasized the connection of physical and mental well-being and created unusual new partnerships. It showed the connectivity of health globally and beyond just human species. And it made those already in public health much more aware of how much we need all the new insights and skills that you are bringing to the field when you leave today. We can't even imagine what you'll do because the world is changing so fast and people live longer and work longer and with more different shifts in their jobs. So congratulations, best wishes, and know how proud everyone here is that you have what you have done across your past, what you've accomplished while you were here, and what you will continue to do in future years. Welcome to our professions.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Really nice. Really nice.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So each year, we ask a graduating student from each of the different disciplines to share a few words about their experience here as students. And this year, the faculty leader from each program will introduce the student speakers. First, Dr. Ann Gruber-Baldini will introduce the first two student speakers, Dr. Baldini. Dr. Gruber-Baldini.
Thank you, Jay. It's my privilege as the co-director of the dual campus UMB-UMBC Gerontology Doctoral Program to introduce our speaker, Jennifer Kirk. Jennifer is concentrated in the epidemiology of aging, which is one of our three concentrations: social, cultural, behavioral, policy, and epidemiology. She's also getting a dual master's in epidemiology. Jen comes to us with a BS from the University of Central Oklahoma, and I know her family came, a lot of her family members came from Oklahoma to join her, and I got to meet them yesterday. She did her dissertation under her mentor, Jennifer Albrecht, where she examined racial and ethnic disparities in initiation of osteoporosis drug therapy following osteoporotic fractures in women. She analyzed Medicare claims data and also created a new cross-sectional survey to understand provider preferences and acknowledgement of the management of osteoporosis. She formed a collaboration with a faculty member at the University of Alabama to get access to a large Medicare data set at a discounted cost. She also got a fellowship at Mathematica to help define and deploy her survey. And she got the Langenberg Scholarship to help also with the costs related to that. Not only does she have the Langenberg Award, I think she got every other award that she's eligible for here. She got the Renee Royak-Scheller Award, the Magaziner Award, the Gerontology Earlier Career Award, the GSA Research Award, the Meyerhoff, the McIntosh Awards. She was also a T32 Epidemiology of Aging trainee, where she was a student leader and really helped organize our efforts. While she's been here, she's published 2 first author papers and contributed a lot to our, is it 2 or 3? She has the third one. Yes, third one. So again, it's my privilege to introduce Dr. Jennifer Kirk.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Dr. Gruber-Baldini. So when I thought about what words I wanted to share today, it was a challenge to distill 6 years of education in the gerontology program down into a 2-3 minute speech. But as I thought about the different experiences, challenges, learning experiences, 3 themes seem to keep coming up across each of those experiences. And I wanted to mention each of those experiences. The first one is that resilience and rest are essential. Let's face it, a PhD and writing your dissertation, sometimes you'll get a draft back and the page is metaphorically bleeding with revisions. And so I kind of felt like getting a PhD is a bit like running a marathon while being pelted with tomatoes. However, at the end, the draft does end up not having any red. The journey is also filled with many challenges and setbacks, but along the way, the ability to bounce back and keep moving forward is what defines our successes as students. Sometimes that means embracing the fine art of taking naps, because honestly, there's times when caffeine can only do so much in terms of helping you write. The second thing is that the power of mentorship. The mentors that I've had in this program have been pivotal to helping me develop in many different ways, learning how to communicate better, write better, and just overall be a better scientist. These mentors are much like the Yodas of academia. Their guidance, support, and wisdom have been invaluable, and they've been through the trenches, much like us who are finishing our degrees, and they obviously have battle scars to prove it, if you ask them. The third thing is that the importance of lifelong learning. I invested in this degree because I love learning and I like the idea of continuing to be a lifelong learning. My time in the gerontology doctoral program has taught me that learning doesn't stop at graduation. I must remember to remain curious, open to new ideas, committed to continuous growth, and remember that if I could survive comprehensive exams, and any of us who are here have taken comprehensive exams or qualifiers, we can probably do anything. My last words that I wanted to share were more focused to the graduates here in the room, including myself. And I felt like we, as the graduates here today, contemplate our next steps. Sometimes I feel like fear of failure or old feelings of being an imposter may come back and arise as we're facing these decisions of what we should do next. And I felt like somebody who writes a little bit more clearly than me in poetic form, Courtney Peppernell, put some really great words on how to address these next steps if you're facing those feelings. There's a space between where you have been, where you are now, and where you are headed. And in this space, you will become afraid of all your past mistakes, afraid of all the steps you will take every day after. But it is in this space that you can truly grow. For the fear is simply a part of the journey, and to walk the road is to walk alongside fear. I want to thank my family, my friends, all of the mentors, the gerontology doctoral program, the Department of Epidemiology and Public Health, and the T32 program, as well as my dog, who is my support system and constant cuddle companion who even came to the department a few times to visit, for their unwavering support. But most of all, I want to thank my husband because he has been the most supportive person throughout this entire journey. And without his support, this speech and probably my dissertation might still be a work in progress. Thank you guys so much.
So now I'm not literally going to put another hat, but on my other hat as the Director of Epidemiology and Human Genetics doctoral program, it's my privilege to introduce Dr. Sarah Brown, who is a member of our molecular epi track. We again also have 3 tracks in the epidemiology and human genetics program: epidemiology, molecular epidemiology, and human genetics. While Sarah's been here, first of all, Sarah came to us with a BS in biochemistry and molecular biology from UMBC. And while she's been here, she has authored 13 manuscripts, 5 of which are first author, and I've been assured she's working on at least 3 more. With her dissertation that she did with Rebecca Brotman, she independently managed a 10-week cohort study involving over 100 women, skillfully overseeing recruitment, IRB compliance, and data management. Looking at the vaginal microbiome, and she's going to be continuing that work here as a postdoctoral fellow under the T32 Epidemiology of Aging, where she's going to continue collaboration with the Institute of Genome Sciences and get further training in computational biology, genomics, post-microbiome interactions, and aging. My most important thing that I'm very thankful for with Sarah is that her most important due date is going to actually be next week. So she's expecting a baby. And I was so afraid it was going to come early. I actually have a copy of her speech that I am so happy I don't have to read. So again, it's my honor to introduce Dr. Sarah Brown.
Thank you for the introduction, and I'm also glad that I was still able to be here to be able to give this speech in person. So I joined the program in epidemiology, human genetics, and gerontology in 2016. So I've been here for quite some time. But what some of you may not know is I've actually been here a little longer than that, since 2013. So the summer of my freshman year at UMBC, I started working with Dr. Christopher Plow at the CVD researching malaria. I met so many amazing students during my year with the group, and it was because of them that I decided to apply to GPILs on the molecular epidemiology track. This was actually the only epidemiology program I applied to, with the rest being a mix of molecular biology and microbiology. So I wasn't entirely confident at the time that I wanted to be an epidemiologist, but I was confident that I would be supported and could thrive in this program. Then I got here and was pleased to find out that during my coursework that I actually did really like epidemiology and statistics and working in human subjects research. I still didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with it other than work in infectious disease, but I had 12 months of sweet GPILS funding where I could kind of figure that out. Except it didn't take me 12 months. It just took one lecture my first semester by my advisor, Rebecca Brotman, on the vaginal microbiome. So I had known nothing about that subject before walking into class that day, but was absolutely sure that I wanted to focus my entire career on it by the end. And I spent the next 7 years doing exactly that, applying all the principles that I had learned through my coursework and had been tested on in the comprehensive exam to design and coordinate studies, manage data, conduct statistical analyses, write manuscripts, and then rewrite them through what seemed like endless rounds of peer review. And in the spirit of honesty with the number 13 manuscripts, there comes a lot of rejections. I actually just got one like 2 days ago, so there is more revising in my future. So I just want to say to the program in epidemiology, human genetics, gerontology, including all of these staff, faculty, and students, thank you for fostering such a supportive community where I could learn how to be a scientist and equipping me with the knowledge and skills I needed to succeed. I had just turned 19 when I started working at the CVD, so it really does feel like I did a lot of growing up on this campus with you all. To the Institute of Genome Sciences and the Epidemiology of Aging T32, thank you for giving me the opportunity to continue my training at the University of Maryland, Baltimore as a postdoc. To my family and friends, thank you for your endless love and patience throughout this journey. And I promise this is the last graduation I will make you attend for me. And then finally, just wanted to say congrats to all of the graduates.
Thank you. And next, Dr. Jennifer Albrecht will introduce our next speaker, who is a student from the clinical research program that she leads.
Morning, everybody. As the director of the Master's and Certificate Programs in Clinical and Translational Research, it is my pleasure to introduce the two speakers that we have representing the Master's in Clinical and Translational Research programs for this year, Doctors Kendall Carlisle and Samhati Mondal. Originally from Ohio, Dr. Carlisle went to the University of Pittsburgh for undergrad and completed her medical training at Ohio State University. She's currently in her 5th year of general surgery residency and has been supported for the past 2 years by the T32 Epidemiology of Aging Training Grant as postdoctoral fellow. Dr. Carlisle's research interests include health equity, costs, and aging. She is a proud aunt to her niece, Charlie, who is in the audience today, and a proud mom to her cat, Minka. Dr. Mondal is an associate professor in the School of Medicine. She is dually trained in liver transplant anesthesiology from the Cleveland Clinic and in cardiothoracic anesthesiology from Hopkins, and practices primarily cardiac and transplant anesthesia. Dr. Mondal serves as the director of perioperative echocardiography and director of anesthesiology medical student education. Her research interests lie in perioperative outcome research, enhanced recovery after cardiothoracic surgery, perioperative coagulation management. There are so many long words in this introduction. I'm like really challenging. And echocardiography. Outside work, Sam is an avid traveler, writer, and loves to spend time with her 2 beautiful children, family, and friends. So please come on up on stage.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kendall Carlisle, and I don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to cut right to the chase. My career passion is to restore community trust in the medical field, both as a doctor and as a researcher. It's funny, you know, once you obtain your medical degree, you somehow also obtain the right to perform research, regardless of knowledge, training, or the ability to do so. And prior to this master's, I was a wannabe researcher with an MD that was not trained to generate results that I trusted or that the greater community could believe in. However, after 2 years of 2x2 tables, multiple drafts of manuscripts, coding, and begging ChatGPT to fix my code, I can finally say that we did it. To the graduates of this master's program and other programs, we made it. I truly believe that we now have the skills to produce trustworthy, rigorous, and innovative research. To the individuals in the master's program, my professors, mentors, friends, and colleagues, thank you for your perseverance in teaching the sometimes tedious but necessary fundamentals of epidemiology and research. And finally, to my parents, thank you for making sure I knew that the expectation was that I always do my best. I know that with the knowledge gained from this master's program, that we, the medical community and graduates today, have come one step closer to earning our community's trust. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. As Dr. Albrecht mentioned, I have a very long history of training. I went to med school in India, did anesthesiology residency, came here, repeated my anesthesia residency, and did 2 fellowships in clinical anesthesia. In this decade-long training, all my role models have been academicians. So it's very natural for me to follow their path and become an academic anesthesiologist. Although I was pursuing clinical research and writing manuscripts since my medical school days, but many a times I felt imposter. I wanted to overcome that imposter syndrome objectively and decided to pursue this master's 2 years ago. I wouldn't say it was easy, it was rigorous. Countless assignments, homeworks, and classes while working full-time as an anesthesiologist and being mother to 2 children was never easy. But I made it, and it was because of all of you. Thank you to all my professors and instructors for being so patient and giving us opportunities and being flexible so that we can do it while alongside our clinical assignments, but also at the same time, keeping it rigorous and thoughtful enough so that we're not diluting the quality of the course. I do have to thank John Shenick for his patience and replying to all my emails throughout the last 2 years. Without his support, I wouldn't have made it. I do have a few more thank yous to go on, so bear with me. I also have to thank my work colleagues for making countless assignments, adjustments so that I could come to these classes and do these masters. After this course, I feel like I sound much more scientific and smarter, and my study proposals are much more convincing to my colleagues. And so I'm really hopeful that I will be able to establish myself with this solid foundation in clinical research. And then finally, I think if I say thank you, that wouldn't be enough for my kids for being so resilient and understanding, and my husband for solo parenting while I wasn't there for the last 2 years. And it's my really deep, heartfelt gratitude for my dear friends and babysitter, Miss Suzette and Miss Olivia, for taking care of my household and home and children, again, when I was busy doing my master works. So here is my heartfelt gratitude to all of you, and congratulations to the class of 2024.
Our final student speaker will come from our Master of Public Health program. And to introduce the speaker, it's Dr. Diane Marie St. George. Dr. St. George.
Anthony, you ready? All right, okay. So it is my privilege. Come on up, sweetie. It is my privilege to welcome the MPH student speaker, Dr. Anthony Edward Chinloy Jr. Anthony graduated from the University of Florida with a major in psychology and then moved on to Howard University to study medicine. You know, all right? Although that was not his original plan, Dr. Chinloy's interest in food as medicine and lifestyle changes to keep people healthy brought him to our field of public health. So in 2021, Anthony applied for our preventive medicine residency and MPH programs. One of the things that I most remember about Anthony's application was how effusive his recommenders were about him and his character. I went back to reread his application in preparation for today, and one person wrote, "Personally, I have never met anyone who is so universally beloved." So it seems that that recommender was right. The MPH graduating students are responsible, as you know, for electing their own speaker. The student, they want to represent them and speak on their behalf. This year, the graduating class selected the scholar, devoted family man, and beloved Anthony Chinloy.
So, excuse me, I'm just taking a moment to bask it in. Thank you, Dr. St. George, for that introduction. I know we only have a short time together, but I'm honored to be the speaker for the Spring Masters of Public Health class of 2024. I don't know what made my classmates select me for the task, but I hope I do them justice, because today is about them. With that in mind, I did what any self-respecting student would do. I sat at my desk, got pen and paper, took a deep breath, and typed into ChatGPT, "How do you write a commencement speech?" And it told me your speech must be complimentary, challenging, and inspiring. So after that, I really sat down, took out a pen and paper, took a deep breath, and asked ChatGPT, "Can you write me a complimentary, challenging, and inspiring commencement speech?" The time I have today is not nearly enough for me to speak about how much I love these people and this class. But first, I would be remiss if I did not recognize the friends, family, and faculty that have given so much for us to pursue our education. It is the curse of youth not to see the sacrifices that those around you have made for you to better yourself. There is no way we can truly thank you and show our appreciation, but I want to make it known that we could not be here without your support, mentorship, or guidance. So thank you so much. We truly stand on the shoulders of giants. And now to address my classmates, I'm going to turn this way. You did it. You did it, and I am so proud of you. When I sat down for orientation, I did not expect to become so close with individuals as excellent as those before me. Throughout this program, I have seen you all rise to the occasion and ensure that you bring others up with you. I have seen you all continue to exceed expectations, not only from the faculty, but the heavy expectations that you placed on yourself. I have seen it in and outside the classroom, in our late night study sessions, where we formed everlasting bonds over creating ridiculous and sometimes not suitable for work euphemisms to remember the information we needed for exams. In the struggle of group projects, in group chats that allowed us to decompress from the stress of classes, I have seen you all grow and flourish, and I do not doubt that the future of public health is in solid hands and has a bright future with you. During our time here, we learned from Dr. Branch and Dr. St. George what it is to be professionals in public health. From Dr. P, the importance of leadership and holding open and challenging conversations. From Dr. Powell, who told us that we could do biostats, though we were hard pressed to believe that we could do it. Dr. Edwards, that social justice and equity are essential parts of public health. And though we move on to bigger things, residencies, more advanced degrees, developing programs in our hometown, being presidential management fellows and many others, we do so knowing that we are prepared to face the next step with the knowledge that we gain together here. So I challenge you. Public health is at a crossroads after the COVID-19 pandemic. And we see now that science and honest communication are threatened. Global conflicts, political mire, global warming, among others, will threaten public health for years to come. And we must be the voices to speak up against injustice, stay vigilant, stand up for truth, and continue to try and promote for equity for all. I want to leave my classmates with a phrase or idea that will stick with them after the pomp and circumstance of graduation is over. Something to inspire them as we move on to our next phase and in the years to come. Unfortunately, I lack the kingly demeanor and dashing accent of Chadwick Boseman to say something like Wakanda forever. But I would like to borrow some ideas from Chadwick and a speech he gave at my other alma mater, Howard University. He talked of appreciating the moment, taking time to recognize the accomplishment that you have worked so hard for. We are all prone for looking toward the next big thing, but I urge you to take time to reflect on your road here and bask in the praise that will be heaped on you today. He also talked of purpose and how purpose directs and guides our actions. The struggles we face mold us for our purpose. This achievement is one of the many that will lead you to your purpose. Sometimes our purpose is not clear. Sometimes barriers are present that block the way to our purpose. But I promise you, when one door closes, another opens. My path to this point has not been straight, but I'm glad it has been winding, because on that winding road, I walked with you. And for the time that we were together, we had shared purpose. Though our roads are splitting now, I am more than honored to have witnessed what you have accomplished during our time together. Continue to move forward with passion and purpose. I love you all. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. It's remarkable what ChatGPT can do. It's a wonderful, inspiring talk. Thank you. And thank you to all the speakers who really, some of you didn't use ChatGPT and you all came out really shining. That's really nice. Thank you. And congratulations. Next, we're going to turn to you. Erin Walton is going to recognize our graduates.
So we need Doctors Albrecht, Gruber Baldini, and St. George. Please join Dr. Magaziner on stage. It's here, the moment you've all been waiting for. Now we would like to recognize the graduates here with us today. We will begin with our PhD graduate in gerontology, Jennifer Kirk. Next, we have the PhD graduates in epidemiology and human genetics. Sarah Brown. Patricia Erickson. Jennifer French. Bing Guo. Kareshma Mohanty. Nandini Raghuraman. Laura Stonovich. Now we will recognize the Master of Science graduates in epidemiology and clinical research. Kendall Carlisle. Samhati Mandal. Next, we will recognize the Master of Public Health graduates. Tamasia Blackman. Anthony Edward Chin Loy Jr. Devin Bailey Flowers. Alice Graham. Bronwyn Catherine Hall. Vivian Huang. Micah Malachi Mathis. Theodore Mempanu. Carmen Andrea Moreno. Michaela Morton. Madeline Nasick. Catherine Sarah Potaka. Erica Dongo Kwan.
There we go.
Thank you. Wow. What a great time. Congratulations to everyone, to all our graduates. This really, really makes me feel really good to see such a great group of people finishing their degrees and moving on to bigger and better things. This does bring us to the end of our ceremony today. And I want to be the first to welcome you into the Epidemiology and Public Health Alumni Organization, where you will join more than 600 other alumni who have graduated from our programs. As alumni, you'll have the opportunity to stay connected with faculty, with classmates, by joining our alumni committee or through our social media outlets. We hope you will keep in touch, and we want to hear from you and hear how you are doing in the many things you do next. It's an ever-changing world, and I think you've heard from at least a half dozen people today. You are the ones that are going to be carving the path to the future. So I want you to go out there and really do it the way it needs to be done. So thank you so much to everyone. And with that, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And I want to invite you to join me for a luncheon in the atrium.